Good evening, everyone. First item I have to say, do any members have any personal or prejudicial interest to declare? I think that's a no. Members, we're reminded that the procedure rules for the Budget Council this evening differs to the ordinary council meetings, and I refer you to the Budget Council procedure rules on page 3 of your agenda. I would like to propose now that the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 27th of January this year be confirmed as a correct record.
I'm happy to second those, Mr. Mayor.
Are we all agreed on this? We need to vote this as well. Then we'll take that to the vote. All those who agree. It's unanimous.
Yeah.
Now, my announcement. Firstly, you will all know, be fed up of hearing, that the ball on the 28th of March is going ahead. It looks promising. We've got some good music, some things that will surprise you. But what I really want to say now is thank you to the wonderful support I've got from some, very generous support from some, so thank you for that. Chief Executive, do you have any communications to report?
I have none this evening, thank you, Chair.
No questions have been received from members of the public on this occasion. No questions have been received from members of the Council on this occasion. This takes us straight in to item 8. As this is a Budget Council, all votes on this item will be recorded. I would now like to invite Councillor Karen Buckley to introduce this item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, members, I'm pleased to move the recommendations in item 8 this evening. These are detailed and, as per usual, set out in full on the desks in front of every member. They include the precepts for parish and town councils, for Lancashire County Council, the Fire Service and the police, as well as Fylde Council, and are all for adoption this evening. This budget and the medium-term financial strategy come at a pivotal moment for Fylde. We are not only managing financial pressures and national uncertainty, we are preparing for the possibility that Fylde Council may cease to exist as a sovereign authority in April 2028, replaced by a larger unitary as part of the government's reorganisation agenda. The report itself refers to the government's drive for local government reorganisation in district areas, which is now well underway, with consultation open on the 5 proposals for Lancashire. In that context, this budget is more than a financial plan. It is a statement of who we are, what we value, and what we intend to protect. Despite unprecedented volatility in national funding, Fylde has delivered stability and quality performance. The report confirms that we have delivered a balanced budget in 25-26 and are forecast to do so again in 26-27, supported by significant savings from the budget right-sizing programme across all years of the forecast. We have maintained high-quality frontline services, continued to invest in our coastline, parks and public realm, supported residents through economic pressures, strengthened our capital programme and reserves, including the proposed £861,000 transfer to the Fleet Replacement Reserve, and made further contributions to the Capital Investment Reserve. We have made a momentous decision to invest £9 million in our swimming and leisure provision, which includes the return of Kirkham Baths, serving our rural areas, and an upgraded and enhanced St Anne's pool with a new leisure provider. This is a record of responsible stewardship and community focus. members will be aware of the unprecedented change between the provisional and final local government finance settlement. As the report states, Fylde will receive £373,000 less from 27-28 onwards due to the revised redistribution of business rates. The report is clear. Such significant changes between the provisional settlement and the final settlement is unprecedented. Yet we have responded calmly and decisively, protecting services and maintaining financial resilience. The recommendations before Council tonight ensure that Fylde remains financially secure and forward-looking. They include adoption of the revised estimates for 25-26 and the 26-27 revenue budget, approval of the capital, treasury management and investment strategies, a 2.99% increase in the Band D council tax, and approval of the detailed 26-27 revenue budget. These decisions protect our services today and strengthen our position for whatever governance structure emerges tomorrow. The government's policy direction is clear. The English Devolution White Paper and subsequent announcements set out a strong expectation for unitary structures in two-tier areas such as ours. If implemented, this will mean the end of Fylde Borough Council in April 2028. That makes our work now even more important. This budget protects Fylde's identity and standards, strengthens our evidence base, invests in our communities, ensures we hand over a strong, stable, well-run organisation, and demonstrates the value of Fylde's model of local government. Whatever comes next, we owe it to our residents to ensure Fylde's voice is strong and its legacy secure. This is a responsible, resilient and forward-looking budget. It protects services, invests in our priorities and prepares us for the profound changes that may lie ahead. I'd like to express thanks to our Section 151 officer, Paul O'Donoghue, and his team, and for every budget holder across this council for their hard work and due diligence. I therefore move the recommendations as set out before you, and I have a seconder, Councillor Vince Settle. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Settle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am pleased to second these recommendations. Once again, we have produced a balanced budget despite the last-minute hiatus caused by the government changing the business rates methodology, leaving us with less money from 2027-28 onwards. Recognising that councils had already formulated their budgets for the upcoming year, though, they have softened the blow by providing a one-year grant to make up the shortfall. It is a fact, though, that the government have moved financial resources towards unitary and metropolitan councils at the expense of district councils such as ours. Nonetheless, we should be proud that we have still been able to provide all of our excellent day-to-day services within this constraint, and, very importantly, to be able to fund the various capital programmes outlined. I am sure we can all agree that being able to completely refurbish St Anne's Pool and bring back into use Kirkland Pool with improved facilities will be an achievement we can all celebrate and be a lasting tribute to our council's achievements before the LGR changes take place. You will see the summary of this year's budget in Appendix E on page 53 and the estimated budgets for the years thereafter. Should you wish to read all 200 pages or so of the budget, there is a link on page 23, or you can read a summary of it. As noted by the leader, we are recommending a 2.99% increase in council tax, which in a Band D property equated to just less than £7 a year. I think the exact figure is £6.94. As the collecting authority, your bill, of course, includes the other authorities, and these are Lancashire County Council showing a 3.8% increase. Police and Crime Commissioner showing a 5.4% increase. Fire Authority showing a 5.6% increase. The presets for town and parish councils show different increases depending on their own circumstances. Going back to the filed council element, recent public sector pay agreements have been around the 3% mark or slightly higher, and salaries are a large part of our costs, with prices from external suppliers often considerably higher than this, particularly anything to do with construction. So our 2.99% increase, we believe, is fully justifiable. Note then that the MTFS has been amended to reflect an assumed 3% pay rise for the coming year, and this is in line with all the other Lancashire councils. After this, we have kept to 2.5%, and this is broadly in line with the Chancellor's latest inflation assumptions, which predict inflation coming down to around 2.4% by the end of this year. Can I also confirm that in accordance with the government rules on council tax, we held a public consultation on our budget proposals, and this produced only 2 responses. I guess that means everyone was satisfied. One response was from the Chamber of Commerce, who inquired whether money could be used to help out-of-town businesses. We are checking what sort of help they actually mean. So, for example, as the recent UK SPSF, central government funding for training, etc. The other query is from a lady who asked, could we have more litter bins in St Anne's Square? As it happens, officers are currently carrying out an exercise right across the borough on the availability of litter bins. I referred earlier to our capital projects. Can I reassure you that funding is in place for all of these and our capital reserves are still healthy, and Paul wouldn't let us do otherwise. Since the last council meeting, one further capital project has been added, as noted in page 54, and this is to refurbish the Fairhaven Lake Boathouse, mainly for health and safety reasons, and including a new roof after removing asbestos. Can I also refer you to page 48 of the report, which contains Paul's statement regarding the robustness of our finances, which confirms the general statement are made that they are healthy. Finally, can I refer members to the Treasury Management Policy later in the report, and in particular the Capital Strategy Overview, page 67 onwards, which explains how our capital projects are fully financed. Mr Mayor, members, I am sure we can all agree that Fylde Council will be going into this merger process in a good financial position, and we should be proud of that. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. In accordance with the Budget Council procedure, at this point of the proceedings, I normally ask the Leader of the Opposition, Councillor Peter Collins, if he has anything to say, but he's not here tonight. So can I ask if any member of the Independent Group has been asked to move an alternative budget or an amendment when the time comes? I take that as a no. Right. Can I ask of the Labour Group, please indicate if they wish to propose an amendment or an alternative budget. Could I then ask the leader of the Liberal Democrats group, please indicate whether they wish to propose an amendment or an alternative budget.
No.
Could any of the non-aligned members please indicate whether they wish to propose an amendment or an alternative budget? That's not here. Are there any other members who wish to table an amendment now? Thank you. The debate on the substantive motion will now follow, after which any amendments tabled will be dealt with in the order they were requested, but we haven't got any. Each speaker has a limit of 10 minutes to speak to the substantive motion and 5 minutes to speak an amendment, but we haven't got any.
No amendments, so.
Does anyone wish to speak on the substantive motion? Councillor Redcliffe.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It would be very easy reading a 100-page report which is packed full of detail, such as the one we have before us tonight, and then probably almost try to lose sight of the true purpose of a budget. Setting a budget is not an end in itself, but it does provide a means to an end. It should enable the Council to deliver the key priorities, targets and outcomes set out in the corporate plan by ensuring they are supported by a robust financial framework. Investment should then be possible in maintaining high standards in the wide range of services our residents have become accustomed to. Additionally, it should also enable the delivery of necessary and desirable strategic projects that enhance the local infrastructure and support local communities. This budget achieves all those goals, despite the many local and national challenges facing Fylde Council at the moment, which include local government reorganisation and the potential for wind farms. The Council's vision for Fylde can be delivered through commitments in the corporate plan and commitments to quality services, clean and green environment, vibrant and healthy economy, safe and caring community, and a great place to live. Our budget can deliver on all of these aspirations. Many areas of the country, however, are witnessing councils struggling to set budgets that protect and sustain services and at the same time invest in their local communities. They're more concerned with cutting at the moment rather than maintaining or expanding. Our local services in Fylde are continuing to perform at high levels for our communities. And there are lots of good examples, including waste recycling, the fleet replacement reserve, where this council is investing in services. And, of course, as has already been mentioned, Fylde is potentially investing £9.34 million. Yes, £9.34 million in refurbishing St Anne's and Kirkham swimming pools, ensuring high-quality swimming provision is across the Fylde. A massive commitment to our Fylde communities, only possible because of prudent financial management by this council, not over just the past 12 months, but for a number of successive years. Other projects I briefly want to mention: the Garden Street and Pier Link projects in St Anne's, which form another part of the transformative St Anne's master plan. Fairhaven Boathouse, which has been included now, so that we can actually create a safe place for people to work, and it will involve significant remodelling and refurbishment of this building. The local development plan, which will take us to 2042, which will shape the future of Fylde in terms of land use, housing, economic development, environmental factors, recreational activity and tourism. And that will be required by December of this year. We're investing in that very important document, arguably the most important document that Fylde Council produces. The Fylde Events Programme. It always gives me huge satisfaction to see how Fylde Council continues to support and invest an ambitious programme of events, directly or vicariously through other organisations, delivering fantastic events for residents and visitors. And finally, Wharton Village Centre Enhancement, Phase 2. They deserve a mention. They have waited for a long time for regeneration of the village centre, and that's what they're getting. Just a small sample of projects showing how this budget delivers for Fylde communities. I commend this budget and ask that colleagues fully support it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Dixon, do you have your hand up?
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. I just want to say this is a budget that's been set following yet another unfair funding settlement from government, really. The government's clearly rewarding failing councils with rises in funding and allows them to raise even more from their residents, often in the poorest areas of the country. But not content with that inequality, rewarding failing authorities for harebrained energy and property schemes which have collapsed. This year they hit on a new wheeze, which was giving us a near 0% settlement and telling us to set a budget before then pulling funding streams from under us to the tune of almost £400,000. It's appalling. But it's not going to stop there, Mr Mayor. It's going to continue this year, and this is just to make sure all councillors are aware. We are going to face excessive costs again, thanks to this clueless government. We were looking to replace our cremators and had a clear timescale in the next few years of how to do it. A timescale which was tied into new regulations. A timescale with those regulations that was communicated to suppliers and authorities across the country. Well, this government dropped those changes 2 years early in the last few weeks. That means new regulations are going to have to be adhered to much earlier. The supply chain isn't mature enough yet to cope with it. It's not ready. It's created huge demand now from authorities all over the country. Huge. There's not enough resources to carry out the work. We're going to be forced to pay well over the market rate, all because the government dropped them without a thought. It's more amateurism from them. So, despite that, you know, thank you to our officers and the decisions of this council that I'm really proud to be able to support this budget that will enhance this borough. We're going to bring back swimming to Kirkham and the rural areas, as well as significantly improving the facilities in St Anne's. And I couldn't be prouder of that. I think it's a fantastic investment and we're going to spend it here in Fylde on our residents. So I'm happy to support this budget.
Thank you. Councillor Henshaw.
I was concerned at our previous council meeting when Councillor Richard Redcliffe talked about the two swimming baths and said if these things go ahead, not when. So tonight I'm also concerned because he used the word potentially investing over £9 million. This gives me reason for doubt, and I would like to be reassured that these projects are going ahead and not just potentially.
Thank you. Councillor Morris.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd just like to bring members' attention to section 10, which is the key areas of financial risk and revenue, page 34, paragraph 3, regarding new waste collection facility. In October 2023, DEFRA announced reforms of food waste collection as part of the government's simpler recycling strategy for weekly collections of food waste from April this year. Fylde received an initial capital grant of £795,000 for fleet acquisition costs. At that time, assurance was given by DEFRA that funds would be provided for ongoing revenue costs, although no specific amount was provided at that time. As this is an extra cost for councils, it was expected that funds would be allocated specifically for this new service. However, as part of the 2026-27 funding settlement, no surprise, it was announced that the funding stream has been included in the main funding formula instead of being a separate grant. There was also no indication in the settlement of how much of this was allegedly allocated to each council for this service. Therefore, the financial forecast updated in the MTFS includes the impact of a revenue budget growth item for the introduction of this service on a phased basis starting in 26-27. The estimated costs and phasing are not certain and could change as the scheme is introduced, and as such the scheme costs present a financial risk to the council. However, due to vehicle delays, Fylde are not commencing the scheme until at least the end of this year, and there are other councils in this situation too, because everybody's ordered the vehicles all at once, so there is a delay. We have informed DEFRA, who are accepting of this and appreciate that this delay is beyond our control. One benefit of the delayed rollout of the scheme is that we can see how other districts handle the rollout of food collection and hopefully learn from how they have found this. It is, however, important that we encourage residents to take up this scheme, which will enable us to increase our overall recycling figures and reduce our residual waste. And Comms are already working on this, and regular items are going out on social media and via the newsletter. I too support this budget. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Ledger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I thank the officers and the leader for presenting this budget. I had one small query that I'd like some information on regarding staff pay here at Fylde. I understand we discussed this previously at previous meetings, and that this is an important part of the budget, but as we've just heard, this is not a absolute, that there is still some flexibility in the system where it is appropriate. And my understanding is that staff at Fylde are not at the same rate as other members of staff across Lancashire, and that this has in part led to why we have a number of vacancies and a staff budget underspend of almost £150,000 recently, although I understand this has been transferred to revenue, general revenue. I was pleased to see in the budget that there is an upcoming pay increase of around 3%, and then in line with inflation going forward, all of which is welcome. I would like to see some consideration of the impacts that staff shortages and perhaps staff slightly lower pay compared to other Lancashire district authorities may have on our ability to carry out some key functions, and whether this will increase staff turnover and increase potential vacancies, and what negative impact that might have on our ability to take on some VOC functions. I understand that there have been other proposals, there have been other schemes such as Golden Hello, which I think is been referred to, which I think is welcome, but I would like to understand if there can be more flexibility and see whether we can bring our pay scales closer in line to other districts, or perhaps even more generous, so that we can avoid significant staff vacancies in the future. But overall, will be supporting this budget, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hayhurst.
Mr. Mayor, first of all, I do share Councillor Henshaw's concern about the provision for the swimming. I doubt very much that Kirkenbass is going to go ahead, whether it's the government that's going to call it in and stop us doing it, or else there'll be reasons found that the building's in too big a state of disrepair. But I'm sure there'll be reasons why it doesn't go ahead. But the point is that that's not why I've stood up. I want to ask about Appendix A and the fact that it shows that there's new homes bonus in the next 5 years. I thought new homes bonus had been withdrawn, and I would like to just know whether I've missed something in the War and Peace document that came with the budget, or whether or not there is any reason why it's been kept on, and whether or not the parishes will benefit from it, because it shows that the parishes will have £11,000 distributed to parishes over the next 5 years.
Thank you. Councillor Pittman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Unlike some councillors who've voiced concerns about whether Fylde is able to deliver on these two pools, I am more than happy to believe that we are fully committed to the restoration of two pools in Fylde, so that no child will be postcoded because they live in the opposite side of the borough to the pool. It is a remarkable achievement that basically we will hand over better swimming provision to the next generation than maybe what we inherited a long time ago. Yes, we had 2 pools, but these 2 pools will be better. And I feel that the doubting Thomases, who do not believe that we are fully committed, actually are doing a great disservice to Fylde and the way that we see our responsibility to residents. And it is, I think we have to pay tribute to all those councillors and officers who've over the years have worked so hard to put us into this very strong financial position that we can leave an excellent legacy which will be appreciated in the future. So less doubt and more support and commitment for what we are all trying to achieve for all residents and visitors in Fylde. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Nixon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will be the eternal optimist. I support the budget and I'm very excited going forward as my remit of tourism, leisure and culture makes our residents happy, provides leisure amenities for all our residents and visitors alike. They're exposed to fantastic events. We've increased the budget to accommodate this. So the events we will provide become sustainable and continue to make Fylde Borough stand out as a superb destination. Our culture offering is unique and exceptional. We have many jewels in our crown and have invested in their ability to have them to shine. This again is supporting our budget. As already mentioned by many of our colleagues, providing building renovation at and investing at Fairhaven Lake has shown our ability of good financial management. The huge investment into the 2 swimming pools is legendary, and this will provide our residents with future facilities. And again, this gives a budget, shows our residents that our budget and this council is spending public money wisely. So with that in mind, I wish to thank all the officers for all their hard work. Given the roller coaster ride that this government has sat them on, I'm sure it hasn't been that enjoyable for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Harrison.
Yeah, got you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure if it's a failing in the education system that leads to the lack of comprehension from members on the opposite side, or a deliberate attempt to sow the seeds of doubt where none existed before and none should exist. But the figures are in black and white on table 1 on page 73 of the report that show what is being committed to these pools. That's what I support, and I'm delighted to support that, and I know it will go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do support this budget in general, and I will be voting for it, but I am concerned about the priorities that have been shown by the council. I think, first of all, that there has been a lack of interest in the basics that we should do, and I'm referring to the issue of the appalling state of our street signs, which I have raised with a council officer and have been informed that there's insufficient budget to deal with that. Now, that's just a basic thing that a council should provide. There should be street signs that are legible on every street. So, you know, that's something that should just happen, of course, but for some reason it isn't doing. The other thing is, I'm very pleased by the swimming pools funding allocation, but why on earth did we have to do the pier link before the swimming pools? Because the swimming pools are so much more important. It's absolutely crucial for children in Fylde to learn to swim. We're actually by the seaside, so, you know, it's probably more important than the inland, but it's important for every child to learn to swim, and yet the priority was a pier link rather than the swimming pools. So I do question the priorities that the council has adopted in relation to expenditure. But in general, I will vote for this budget. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Trevor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our endeavour at Fylde is to support our residents of Fylde and are written in the local plan, for which we strive to deliver. I am pleased recently we have promised a 9 million funding for swimming in Fylde. It is a particular focus that I've been alongside, and I believe in St Anne's and Kirkham we have swimming facilities which will be much improved for the future. I believe our children should have opportunity to learn to swim. One can never tell this ability to save their life in future years. May I say, it's short and sweet tonight, I will say that this budget we propose is robust and protects residents of Fylde in the forthcoming year, and also our communities and its environment, which is most important to me, and dealing with flooding for these residents, which we have impacted on, and it's in the local plan, and I'm very happy to support this budget, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Anybody else wish to speak on this item? Councillor Buckley, would you like to something?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm scribbling away to try and deal with a few of the queries that have been raised, and if I can help with those this evening, whilst summing up. But first of all, it's somewhat of a shame to hear members talking down the intention for us to invest in our swimming provision before the ink is hardly dry on us actually putting the money aside. I think our intention is clear, and I'll leave it at that. Some important points were made around staff pay and acknowledgement that our budget going forward has increased from 2.5% to 3% in relation to staff pay. It's also important, members may remember that in terms of flexibility, our annual pay policy has been reviewed and revised to allow that flexibility, for instance with market supplements, also to assure members that we do have a job evaluation process in place in Fylde. And when the member mentioned around the amount saved on wages, we do have vacancy savings that do occur simply due to the time that between somebody leaving and somebody being appointed, then there are vacancy savings. So that does equate to the figure that was mentioned. So I think it's important to address those points, and also to assure members that the Chief Executive and I discuss that on a regular basis, those the challenges for recruitment and retention and what is needed to face those challenges going forwards. In terms of points made by Councillor Taylor, who raised the street signs in the Executive Committee recently, and who has been told that we don't have a budget. I'm presuming, because he raised this before, that we don't have a budget for his request, which is for our officers to do a full audit of street signs right across the borough. And I wouldn't support that we do that, because as I said in the Executive Committee, I think every councillor's duty is to spot a street sign that needs to be replaced. And I have no doubt that our officers would respond to that. And in dealing with the priorities, I think it's evident to see that we are doing both regeneration in the public realm as well as supporting swimming. It's not either or. And finally, as Councillor Hay has referred to Appendix A, I just need to tell him that Appendix A is last year's budget and Appendix E is this year's budget. So yes, New Homes Bonus was on last year's budget at Appendix A. He's right. It's been withdrawn by the government, hence it will not be shown in future budgets. I hope that answers the queries that have been raised. I thank members for the support that they have shown for this budget, and I look forward to them demonstrating that in the vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Well, at this point, we move to a recorded vote on the original motion. So when your name is called out, please indicate if you're in support of the budget.
So first, Councillor Anthony. Councillor Bamforth. Councillor Bickerstaff. Councillor Karen Buckley. Councillor Edward Collins. Councillor Dixon. Councillor Evans. Councillor Farrington. Councillor Fazakerley. Councillor Gardner. Councillor Gaunt. Councillor Goodman. Councillor Griffiths. Councillor Gavin Harrison. Councillor Karen Harrison. Councillor Hayhurst. Councillor Henshaw. Councillor Kirkham. Councillor Ledger. Councillor Lee. Councillor Morris. Councillor Nixon. Councillor Pittman. Councillor Redcliffe. Councillor Redfern. Councillor Rigby. Councillor Settle. Councillor Taylor. Councillor Threlfall. Councillor Wilder. Councillor Withers. Councillor Little, the Deputy Mayor. The Mayor, Councillor Andrews. That's 33 votes in favour, none against and no abstentions, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much. That concludes our business for this evening. Thank you for coming. See you later.
See you at the